has a passion about people, food, and traveling. He's going to be with us, and his talk is how to create meaning. Thank you, Luis.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay, good morning. It's great to be here. So regarding failure, I started this presentation with trying to be engaging with the Portuguese community, and somebody told me that Oi is a Brazilian Portuguese and not Portuguese. So, damn. I learned next time I will do it differently. I will adjust it, right? First of all, I would like to thank you for inviting me. I'm always feel very welcome here in Lisbon and sharing stories and conversations. Second of all, I should say that I feel really honored in a conference where EJ, who was my professor, is here. So thank you so much for being here. And third is that, this is not my first time speaking here. And the first time I was here, I was explaining a bit of the contradictions we live by. All the time in our life, we live in contradictions. I'm a business person working in design now. But that day, I presented contradictions basically on the innovation space. So the contradictions in the innovation space is that many companies want to be innovative, but they don't want to change. Or we want to focus on users a lot, but we keep seeing them as markets and not as people, and there's a big difference. So I think I keep keeping track of contradictions in life all the time, and because I'm bringing more contradictions today, or what things are happening. So the idea is just to start this conversation. Maybe there will not be time for questions, but yeah, we can keep the conversation going on at any time. But this might be the right time to start questioning why we're doing things and if we should be doing differently. So in a few minutes, I will be sharing what I see, what we see in the team at Telefonica is happening, and a bit of what the spaces we're exploring in the city space. So I have to warn you in this presentation is that I might have more questions than answers. So the Q&A part will be easier for me, or VJ will answer, right? So let's start. This guy, and I'm talking about the smartphone, not Steve Jobs. The smartphones might have changed the way we live. They have affected what we do, how we interact with people, and how we interact with the world. In some part of the world, this might be the first and only access to the internet, to this so-called connected world. So these companies disrupted the industry and then they became more innovative. So what they're doing, they're making bigger screens, all right? You're in a business that works, why you should make it different, right? So keep growing. You don't have to change if you're growing. So that's a bit of the irony of innovation. They're so innovative that at the end they're making bigger screens and probably bigger screens, right? But time passes by and they still make even bigger screens, right? The problem with this is that no, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think we've come to believe that our life happens in the screen, right? Yesterday we were running a workshop on experiences, and sometimes we get so confused that the experience is in the screen, and that user experience is about user interface in a tiny piece of glass. This is part of the conversations I've had with Golden Krishna, who wrote the book, The Best Interface is No Interface, and part of the book of David Rose that you mentioned yesterday, the Enchanted Objects. So we had this conversation within the team and with Golden Krishna about what UX is and what UI is, because sometimes I think the UX people in our team have this identity issue, because then, oh, you're from a UX designer, so, oh, have a website. and it's not, I don't know how to do that, right? So this is the confusion we want to break a little bit. So we're trying to define, we were looking for what's the best definition of UX, and this is part of the book of Golden Krishna. So a big difference between what UI is and what UX is. So you might know now what is UX about, and it's about people, happiness, solving problems, and not necessarily navigation and eye tracking and, I don't know, scrolling, clicking, etc. So having said that, having it clear that UI is not UX, is the first question is, I told you I was going to be asking questions, is why everything in this life now has to be on a screen? Does it really make sense? We keep, I'm looking at the screen with the time, I'm looking at the screen here, and sometimes it makes sense, but not everywhere, right? They are blocking us from enjoying life, from having these interactions, right? And the obvious question afterwards is why everything has to be an app. Even Apple has patented the expression, there is an app for that. So there is an app for everything, but does it really make sense to have an app? I think having apps and having a screen in front of us is just making us this all the time. And maybe I should be looking at how the weather is, and we get lost, and we get lost of all the people who are here, right? And we might be losing what's happening. And there was one professor, Tom McTavish, saying that we're becoming digital zombies, right? Just with the screen all the time. We don't see what's happening around us. And so we have smartphones, smart devices, smart buildings. But the question is, are we really becoming smart? These are my friends, they are my co-workers. We were at dinner at the UX conference in Spain. And that was natural. We were enjoying dinner. And I was taking a picture of them, so I'm part of the problem too. Right? So this is a problem not a problem, it's something that we should be looking at as an opportunity for change, right? So on one hand, the screens, and then comes the very famous IoT, right? The Internet of Things, right? So now, these days, we can connect everything to the internet without asking why, right? We are connecting everything because we are technology people, business people, design people, and we can, right? So I chose this picture in particular because I think it's funny. I might buy one of those, but this is the Eggminder. So it's a connected egg tray. So you will know. So you will know when your eggs are fresh. And when you run out of eggs, you will get your phone and you'll see your app. You will open the app. Among the 29 apps or more that you have, you see, oh, I need more eggs. Right? So I might buy one of those, but I think because it's, I don't know if they ask the question really why they should do it. I think it's cool. It's cool to have it. I will get a lot of stories and I will get fresher eggs, but does it really make sense? And I don't think it makes sense. The funny thing, if you count there, is that it has space for 14 eggs. So they are probably changing the numbers. So I heard that there is a Canadian dozen that has 14. I don't know if it's true, it's someone from Canada. But those are the new ways of seeing dozens of eggs. I will get it. So this is what we see in the team is happening these days. And the things that we're trying to question. The second part of this conversation is to show you and share a little bit of what we're doing. We're waiting time. Of what we're doing. And the project is called Linked Urban. So these days, I'm working with the smart cities team, with the IoT team in the smart city space, in the innovation of the smart city space. And what we're doing is actually we're looking at cities. We're looking at cities and how they should be, how the interactions with the city should be, how they are, how they should be, how they should feel. I know this screen is a bad example, but there should be screens as well. It's not that we should kill the screens, but there should be some other ways of interacting with the city, with these so-called smart cities. So what we're actually trying to do is to reframe the smart city space. When we think of smart cities, we're always thinking of this mostly for governments, mostly for cities, this huge dashboard where you can track how efficient your light consumption, your energy consumption is, your waste management, so you can be a more efficient city. But the question is if all these good things that the smart city approach is giving us shows in our lives. Do we see the benefits of saving millions of euros of dollars by turning off the lights? Maybe we don't see that. So we're thinking we're not talking about smart cities, we're talking about smart citizens. Ooh, new buzzword. So that sounds really cool. But then we started talking to people and we said smart citizens, and the question was, hey, do we really want to be smarter or smart? Probably not. We have smart devices, we have everything smart, but maybe we don't want to be smart. Maybe we just want to have an easier, happier life, right? Probably that's what we should be looking at. So the Linked Urban project is an innovation program, and it has 3 big leading principles that we are following. So any project that we look at within the Linked Urban space, it has to solve citizen problems. Citizen problems with the city, not necessarily with, not with individuals, but with their interactions with the city. Of course, I work for a company, a technology company these days, so it has to foster the creation of new digitally enabled companies, services, and businesses, and build entrepreneurship. And obviously, it has to create value, right? We're also looking at all the solution we have with what kind of interface should it have? Does it have to be an app? Does it have to be in the phone? Should it be in the context? Those are the 4 principles that we're following. But all this initial story of how things are happening and the exploration that we are doing might bring us some challenges, right? And with this audience of design, technology people, mostly design, the question is what's the role we have to play these days, right? With many people that have been, this is part of the conversation with Golden Christian, many people making a career out of doing UI, of user interface design. What happens when a world will not have as many screens as today, right? So we have 2 things. One is we need to blend, probably people from UI need to learn about product design, right? They will have to understand how materials feel, how textures are, so then the new interaction might be the building itself or our body, right? Will not be a screen in the middle of it. This is just, I took those pictures because I took a leatherwork course, not to understand how to work with my hands again because everything is a computer. Yeah, but this is the first part, right? Understanding how solutions are made more than just the code and the screen. And the second part is, I think we have a growing, and I know you were showing the makers video a few weeks ago. We have a growing do-it-yourself community, right? So what's the role of this? I'm blowing glass there. It's cool. What's the role of designers with a growing do-it-yourself community? So, and this is another conversation I had with Patrick Whitney, is that what we have to do these days is to create the platform that will enable people to do their own products. So the role as designers might change, because the final product will not be done by you, but you will be helping people design their own products. That might hurt many egos and careers a little bit, but that's how things are happening, or how we see are happening, and probably we should be driving some change. Again, this is a point of view, and this will be a long conversation probably. So, closing thoughts, just to leave some space. Just because everybody's focusing on one thing doesn't mean that we have to do the same. Doesn't mean that we cannot explore other spaces. I really like this phrase, because it's true. We need to drive change. We need to explore more, and we need to understand people a little bit more. So at some point we can provide them with more livable cities, more lovable cities, probably more than livable. Probably will give them better access to new services, and probably even cooler spaces, places where to live. The thing is that we might not make people smarter with this, but maybe we can make them happier. And that's it. Thank you.